Howdy doody everybody, I hope you're doing great. In today's video, we're talking about mobile games. This is not necessarily something that I usually play, but I have a homie called Chaotic, which is joining us on the channel today for the first ever time. Congratulations on his debut on the 269 channel, but he is a mobile games guy, and he's always playing these mobile games. You should definitely visit his channel if you haven't gone over there. And some of these mobile games nowadays are looking spicy, so he's here to kind of bring me up to speed on all the things weeby and mobile games at the moment. And it wouldn't be fair. Yeah, it wouldn't be fair if we didn't bring Paradise along as well. So how are you doing, guys? Are you all good?
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Just been working on these games, bro. I'm really tired, to be honest.
He's on the grind.
All that mobile gacha grind has got him. He's like, guys, you should play this game, but I'm super tired now. So,
bro, yeah. Like I've literally been up all night trying to make sure I had a unit for a specific video that I'm making. I'm tired, bro.
Nice.
It's crazy.
So how many games are you actually like playing at the moment? Like, which mobile games you actually like? Like, how many? Like, before we give spoilers to people, like, yeah, how many different like mobile games are you playing?
Okay, so I'm actually playing 10.
What?
Yes, I'm playing 10 games. Only like 5 of them are I'm like allowed to be like talking about openly. The other ones are like beta test stuff, but it's like, man, there's some like really dope games coming out, and I have a problem, bro. I have a really big problem.
You know, I know what Chaotic's problem is, okay? When he plays these betas, which is like to test the game out, try it out, but you don't get to keep your stuff, right? I know that Chaotic, I know you're playing it 24/7 over there, and you're just like, I don't care that I'm going to lose everything, I'm going to grind this game to oblivion, and then literally in a week's time you've lost your progress because it's a beta. I know you, Chaotic, that's what you're doing, isn't it?
Look, I have a good reason, though. Every single time this happens, I'm ahead of the curve by the time people want to hop in for content and stuff. I know everything that's coming out for the beginning of the game. Why? Because I've grinded this game 24/7 instead of just tapping it and leaving it. So
it's true. It's a good. It's very good as a content creator. I just hope you don't burn out on the games that you really love, because I know that that's something that happens to me when I do that.
Yeah, it's something I struggle with, but we'll get there when we get there.
So if that sounds good to you, then definitely leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I know that's going to sound good to some of you, that we've got the ultimate mobile gamer here, the guy that sweats mobile betas. I've never even heard of that before, but I'm intrigued to see what these games are going to be. So yeah, let's get into the first game.
All right, so the first one is going to be Punishing Gray Raven. Now, this is a game that it released earlier this year. Been out for about 2 years in China. Man, if you want a combat simulator, this is like your test of skill right here. They have a bunch of different gacha units, of course, but this is like one of the games that I recommend to people that don't want to spend money on the games, because you can pretty much get all of your units for free as long as you grind it to all hell, to be honest. But it's a really fun game and a test of skill. The best way I can explain this is if you wanted to see what's possible in a leaderboard, who can stack up against who without having to worry about any sort of pay-to-win mechanics at all, this would be the game where you would be able to test out your skill against other players. Now, what they do is they have this Warzone mode. And in Warzone, you're pretty much grouped up with a bunch of random players. And each player is geared by level and tier. And once you meet that level requirement, your goal is simply to get at the top of the leaderboard for that, 3 days, and then whoever's at the first, I think 3 to 5 slots within that 3 days, they move on to the next rank, and then everyone else demotes.
It's like
it's freaking dope.
You're fully
man.
eliminated other players and stuff like that. So is this like a PvE game or a PvP game?
It's fully PvE, but it just has like a leaderboard. It has a fantastic story as well. The story is fantastic, man. The story is absolutely fantastic. there's a bunch of different modes in the game that they constantly add. Just for example, in this mode, sorry, in the mode that they currently have in their Eternal Throne patch that they just released,
Yeah.
they have like this roguelite mode where you're actually able to stack up different buffs as you progress. So they add random stuff like that in each patch. So it's very fun, man. This is like the top game I recommend to anyone. It's free to play. Like every game I'm going to talk about is absolutely free to play. You can just download it, experience it, and see what you like about it.
Nice. I just like the name of it, you know. This is like the most... This is like the mobile game that intrigues me the most just because of the name of it. Like Punishing Grave Raven, the sounds like really cool. I think I've like seen a few snippets of it. Like the combat looks probably like one of the best mobile games that I've seen in terms of like teleporting around and a bunch of other stuff as well. So yeah, intriguing to say the least.
The name actually has a lot to do with the story. It's actually like, okay, so the Punishing virus is actually a virus that's taking over all of the mechanics that mankind has been using for decades in order to eliminate mankind. And it basically, just to sum it all up, this is Terminator.
Okay.
This is Terminator.
I love a bit of Terminator. Like, that's
yeah. So like they're on a quest to simply erase all humanity, and any robots that are usually used to try and help humanity are being corrupted as well. So there's no winning.
Yeah.
It looks a little bit Scarlet Nexus-y in a way. And I've also just done a little Google search on the side. And was there a Nier Automata like collab or something?
In China, there has been 2 Nier Automata collabs. They have specific characters from the Nier Automata series, or the Nier Automata game. Nier is the series, and you're able to play as these characters. They took famous abilities from them. They have the soundtrack from Nier. It was an actual collaboration with the Nier Automata game.
I love that. I love when these mobile games, from the ones I've played, are like just renowned for their crazy collaborations. I've seen different kinds of anime collabs. I've seen different kind of game collabs. I love it when you get those collabs. I think one that some people might know is the Monster Hunter collab that was in that Dragon. It was called like Dragon something. It was one of those like character gacha games, but you could get Monster Hunter characters as well.
Monster Hunter characters in a gacha game. I can't think of one that did that.
It was called like Dragon something. I can't remember it now.
Oh,
but I like
Lost? Is it Dragalia Lost? Is that it?
Dragalia Lost. That was it. Yeah, that was
it. Okay.
Cool. So yeah.
All right.
What is the next game that we're going to be going into?
All right. So the next game is Hongkai Impact. Now this is I recommend this game to anyone that loves anime, because this game, in terms of story, in terms of cinematics, there's no game on the market as far as mobile games go anyway that can compare to this game. They have not time bending, but they tell the story from various different perspectives. They tell it from your current time. They have a story that's being told in the future. They have a story that's literally in another not world, but in another what is the word?
Universe.
I can't think of it. It's not universe. It is a multiverse type game. Dimension would work. It's not the word that I'm looking for. But yeah, basically it's this the whole concept is the universe that we're playing in is in one universe per se. And it's basically the ultimate test of mankind. And if they happen to fail this test, their world falls from this tree called the imaginary tree into the Sea of Quanta, which means that their universe has basically failed. And there are various different universes telling different storylines from the same character's perspective. There might be alterations in each one. For example, in one universe, there's actually an Evangelion collaboration, where the main characters are literally playing the events of Evangelion. So it's really really sick.
I'm
It's
down.
really
What? So
really
wait, they
sick.
have a whole Evangelion like collaboration, like.
Collaboration. Yeah, it passed already, but yeah, they had a
Too
full
late,
on.
you missed it.
But wait, that's how they do all their collabs, and they explain away their collabs by basically having these alternate universes or pocket dimensions within, like, going on at the same time. That's like really cool. Then, like,
Yeah.
what's been like the big collabs as well?
Well, right now the only one that I know about is Evangelion. So
Okay.
I don't recall there being any other ones at this moment. But when I tell you this game is a cinematic beauty, a storytelling, it's one of the best games on the market. If you want a nice entry level game, it's not too difficult, but it tells a beautiful story. This is the game for you to try.
Is this
It's
made
that
by the
simple.
same people that made Genshin Impact, right?
Yes, it's made by the same people that made Genshin Impact. But the
On
the
that
gameplay's
topic-
drastically different. Drastically different.
On that topic, my little research on the side, they did a Genshin Impact, or are going to do one at some point. I can see.
They did a Genshin Impact collaboration. I don't really. When you say collaboration, I think of like you're working with a different company, so I don't really deem that as a full on collaboration because they just took a character from a series that they already
yeah.
Don't say that to
Yeah.
the Monster Hunter people with collaborations.
Wait, what happened?
Like all the Rise ones are basically just Capcom like owned IPs, right? So and they've
Yeah,
like, tried
like
to say
Mega
it's clever.
Man stories and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I don't. As much as I like Genshin Impact, I don't really consider that like a full blown collaboration because they literally just went to their studio next door and just said, "Hey, we want your characters in our game," and told some story, some plot points in the story. It did have some nice lore in it, but like I said, they treated this as a pocket universe that had nothing to do with the main plot, and yeah, it was fun. It's just not what I consider like a full blown collaboration. Evangelion, I feel like that one's a full blown collaboration with another studio. They had to coordinate things with a team that they're not familiar with. Like that's what I mean by collaboration.
All right, nice. What's the next? What other spice you got for me?
All right, and the next game is going to be Aethergazer. Now this game is
I know
still
nothing of this. Like, not
I love
This
how
one-
these all have really unique names. But
yeah, Aethergazer.
well, actually, the Chinese name for the game is called Eye of Deep Space.
that's even more crazy.
So the whole premise for this game, right, is this storyline is being told in a time where humans no longer exist. Everything have been all humans have been uploaded to a database where there's an ultimate AI basically allowing them to live their lives as they did in real life, but through a simulation. Now this
Matrix.
AI,
It's the Matrix, and also our future.
Are these all like 90s films that they're just replacing as like video games? Like
I didn't think of it that way.
We've had Terminator. I don't know what the alternate universe one would have been, but we've got that, and now we've got like the Matrix.
Evangelion.
Yeah. Oh, the other one was
Evangelion.
like Evangelion. Yeah.
Yeah, like their whole, like the previous game's the whole idea behind the game, they were motivated to make this game because of Evangelion.
Yeah.
So this one, I guess you could say the Matrix. Now this game basically is another combat simulator. You get specific units through gacha. You level them up, you power them up, you level up their weapons, and then you either go through the story or you play the various modes in order to test your combat skill. This one's a bit more traditional on the action RPG side, though, because it's a hack and slash. It's that simple. It's just a hack and slash. You hop in, you beat up some enemies, you level up your abilities and your weapons, and then you hop into the next simulation. Now, they did add a new mode to this one, which is also, once again, a roguelite mode. Yeah, it's a combat simulator. It's that simple.
Nice. So what? Other than that, like you just go through like floors of stuff. Is there any like leaderboard like in Punishing
No, there's
Gray
no
Raven?
leaderboard. There's no PvP elements at all in this one. At least not in its beta stages. I have recommended a few things to the developers in order to give it like a little bit of players some motivation in order to continue playing, because a hack and slash, right? Eventually someone might get bored of it, but you know, this game is actually one of the most top tier combat simulators that will be on the market, not just from gameplay but from visuals as well.
Okay. What makes it so enjoyable then? Like, because you seem to be quite hyped
bro,
about this one.
I'm a Nier fan, man. I'll sit there and play games like Nier all day. So when games have a combat system that's similar to that, I can play that for days and days on end.
Yeah.
I know what it is. When those kind of games exist and the combat's fun, even if there isn't a vast amount of combat and story, and then they have the gotcha system. You said there was a gotcha in this one, right?
Yeah.
It's like trying out that next character that's like 5-star rarity that you know other people probably don't have. That's a part of like the addiction of these games. I get it because I have played gacha games before, but it is a slippery slope to fall down.
Cool. That sounds good. What's the next game that you have for us?
All right, the next one, I've talked to you guys about this one before. This one's Tower of Fantasy.
We did a whole video on Tower of Fantasy, guys, but I was too scared to upload it because I didn't want people thinking I was supporting like pay to win, crazy monetization. But we're back with mobile games, and I feel like you can't really get around it with mobile games because that's the monetization model that they necessarily use. But yeah, hopefully you guys can give me the benefit of the doubt. We're just trying to look for some good, fun games to play.
Yeah, and they actually heard a lot of people's concerns when it came to the monetization and the pay to win practices of the game. Yeah. Because one of the things that that people were concerned about were the stats that were on weapons and on clothes and on vehicles that are all contributing to your skill level of the game. But before I get into that, for those who don't know, Tower Fantasy is an open world action RPG. It is an MMORPG as well. You'll be able to group up with friends and party up and do dungeons and explore the world, experience boss fights such as world bosses. Like, they have all that stuff in this game. And a nice story, at least in my opinion, the story was pretty interesting.
Do you feel like
it had a nice
like,
package.
Yeah. Do you feel like this is going to be a competitor like Genshin Impact? Like, now that people kind of winding down on Genshin at the moment, I see a lot of... Well, from the outside, as someone that doesn't play Genshin Impact, it looks like a lot of people are kind of disillusioned with the amount of content that Genshin has at the moment. Do you feel like this is like poised to kind of take over?
I don't know about take over. Yeah. It's going to be hard for any game to really meet the success that Genshin has met. Yeah. But with that being said, this game is a game that will attract a lot of Genshin players simply because of the open world aspect of the game. Excuse me. There's a lot in this game. If you're worried about content, in this beta alone, I couldn't run out of things to do. There was a story that I had to maintain. There were these dungeons that also gave you gadgets, which such as like a jetpack or an arm that allows you to grapple on the wall. There was PvP elements to the game. There were world bosses. There was so much in this game. And some of it I wasn't even able to experience without friends. So, yeah, there was a lot in this game.
You got me interested. Tell me about the store. Is it gacha? What's going on with the pace?
They finally started talking about their monetization. So their monetization is a gacha system. In the previous beta, they had a very funky, scammy looking gacha system, but they heard all the players complaining about how there was no pity or anything like that. For those who don't know what a pity is, it's basically if you summon 30 times and you don't receive a high ranking SSR character or weapon, it will pretty much pity you and give you a random SSR. Yeah. So SSR being the highest ranking weapon or character you can obtain in the game. So in this one, they started finally listening to the players. They took down all the notes that people have sent them. I literally sent them a large list. And they covered in their previous live stream every one of my concerns, which were the climbing mechanics, the gacha system. They added the pity. They removed the stats from the not from the weapons, from the clothes and from the vehicles, so that the PvP is more balanced and less pay to win. They've added so much stuff to this game. They remodeled the characters so they don't look as glitchy when interacting with other elements. Like, they did so much, and they even delayed the game. This is something that I haven't seen many developers on mobile do. They delayed their game entirely from releasing in September to an indefinite date just to make sure that everything is right before they're even talking about a release date. So this could go on till next year before they even talk about a release date, because they want to meet players' expectations.
Nice. That sounds good. Sounds promising.
Now,
at least.
and the one thing that makes this game very unique, right? There's a 3-slotted weapon system. While in Genshin Impact, there is a character switching system. In this one, you're switching weapons. Each slot had a different purpose. There was a damage dealing slot where you would add a damage dealing weapon. There was a shield breaking slot where you would add a shield breaking weapon. And then there was a buff and healing slot. And the purpose of each slot is to make sure that you're efficiently switching between your weapons for whatever purpose of that moment. So if you're fighting a weapon that has a crazy shield on them, you're going to want to switch to that shield breaking weapon so that you can break the shield before you deal your damage. Now, they heard a lot of players' concerns about that system, and they're going to add some of those systems directly to the weapons instead of putting them on the slots. So each weapon will have a certain purpose, whether it's to break shield or to deal damage or to buff/heal your character. So they're doing some really interesting stuff for a Tower of Fantasy. I really can't wait to play more.
Okay. That game sounding, out of all of them, aside from like Punishing Grey Raven, like the most like promising one out of all of them, like to play. Just like from the footage I saw last time that you showed it to me, it just looked good. I was just kind of shook by like the system surrounding it, but I would enjoy that game.
And the
like,
vastness
regardless.
too.
Yeah,
The world is just huge. And the thing that's impressive is they've already said that the world's not even complete.
Nice.
So
Hopefully
there's
they're
so
not,
much
like,
more.
over-promising and stuff like that. I want to see how
hope
it
not.
is and when they actually drop it, though. But it sounds like it's probably going to be like next year sometime, right? So that sounds good. What is the last game that you have for us today?
Now, this game actually caught me off guard. This one is another gacha game. Now, this one, I'm going off of so much excitement from playing the beta.
Yeah.
This one's more of a what I see it could possibly be, more so than what it was. This is Project Snow. This is Project Snow. The game's pretty much a third-person FPS with gacha mechanics. Basically, you go from mission to mission, fighting waves and waves of enemies that are infiltrating some sort of computer system. I don't necessarily remember exactly what it was called, but yeah, the whole purpose is to go in, defeat waves of enemies, which sounds very easy, right? But these boss fights in this game, oh my god, they're so much fun. So much fun. There was actually like a specific boss in the previous beta that gave me hope for this game, because before I was like, okay, this is getting really boring really quick. There's not really much here. But when we got to this boss fight, all the mechanics started making sense. Each character had their own abilities, debuffing, buffing, dealing massive damage to the enemies. It's all about coordinating attacks in between each character to deal the most damage as possible before, in order to defeat the boss. So, like I said, this game has a lot of promise. It's more so I'm banking off of that, more so what I played. Yeah. Because it's very different from your traditional gacha game. And if they can ensure that this game is of quality upon release, this game could be a top contender of all games that I've played so far this year.
Right.
And is that like Genshin where you switch characters, or are you talking like co-op multiplayer where other people's characters are doing that stuff?
Oh no, you switch characters just like Genshin Impact. That's kind of a thing with mobile games entirely. Majority of the combat simulator type gacha games will always have a character switching system, with the exception of Aethergazer, which all 3 characters are on the field at once, and you're just playing as one of the characters, and you all deal damage at the same time. This one is also a character switching type game. Each character has
characters, don't they? Like the more characters on the screen, the more characters you have access to, the more characters that you're gonna want to buy and spend money on it.
You know what? The first
and weapons too.
True.
And weapons too.
the first like switching that I know of is literally like Sword Art Online. How they're literally like switching out between each other, and there's actually Sword Art Online games where they do that as well. So that was the first time I encountered like that mechanic, but maybe it predates that as well.
Well, the first time I ever experienced it was actually for Honkai Impact. That was my very. I'm gonna say my second one to be safe because I don't remember what my first gacha game was. But Honkai Impact was one of the first gacha games that I played, and I just remember being so amazed by the character switching mechanic because it adds some depth to the gameplay. Each character has a different role to play, a different status effect that they can inflict. And they use different weapons. And even most recently with Honkai Impact, that game literally has some of the most busted characters I've ever played in a game. I mean, literally one of them summons a freaking dragon and literally spits flames at all the enemies on the field. Like, it's so, like, the characters are so busted but so enjoyable to play.
Yeah, and I think that's part of like what some more games should do in general. Like having a kind of a busted character and just having that enjoyment is a cool thing. I feel like a lot of like Western games are all focused on like esports balance sometimes, and like some of the enjoyments lost from just having like OP characters and stuff like that. So it's nice to hear that like there are some more flashy, over the top, overpowered like characters out there in these like mobile games that we can actually get our hands on. But if you were to recommend like one game in particular out that whole list for someone to pick up for the first time, what would it be?
Honkai Impact Third.
There you
Honkai
go.
Impact Third easily. It's the game, and it's not so much because I think it's the least interesting. It's more so, or the most interesting. It's because of how entry level the game really is. I feel like anyone can hop into this game. I feel like anyone can play through the story and enjoy the story for what it is. And if you just want to hop in and do some really cool stuff and then get off, this game can do that too. If you wanted a PvP-ish like leaderboard system type thing, they have something called the Memorial Arena, which I haven't personally dove into because I really play that game just for the story. Yep. But they have that there. They have a semi-open world type game mode where you can explore the world and destroy enemies that are just out in the field. Of course, there's story implemented in that too, but they just have so much, and many people see this game as the originator of these type of games. How true that is, I don't know. But this game is always the game that people bring up whenever they see something similar. They say, oh, it's like Honkai Impact Third. So it left a very good impression on the entire mobile gaming community.
Nice. All right, I think that's a good list of games to get people started on, and obviously we have a recommendation, which is Honkai Impact Third. I'll probably try Honkai Impact out and Punishing Grey Raven. Looking forward to Tower of Fantasy, but until Tower of Fantasy drops, we'll just have to wait, right? Because I think that's like the most exciting game for me, at least. But
2-6.
Yeah.
Don't get hooked, bro. I'm serious. This is Honkai Impact. You're literally in a freaking weeb, bro. The moment that you lay your eyes on one of these anime cutscenes,
yeah,
you're gonna be stuck. I already know. You're gonna be stuck.
Oh no!
You're gonna be spending your money on gacha.
Oh no! Which game sounds most intriguing to you, Paradise?
I think I like the sound of the Tower of Fantasy, but obviously we have to wait and sort of see how that one comes along. Honkai Impact, I think maybe I'll try that out since that's out there and that's your recommendation, Chaotic. So I'll give that a try because I've played an awful lot of mobile games and gacha games over the years. So I'm always down for like trying things out, and I always try my best to play free to play. And I think if you try and play these games as free to play, if you put like 5 or 10 hours into them, you can generally by then know if it's going to work out or not as a free player. Because a lot of these mobile games, like a few hours in, it becomes very obvious if you basically have to pay to compete,
Cool.
I mean, the compete aspect doesn't even need to be there, to be honest, because everyone that I've actually recommended these games to, they're all free-to-play players. They don't spend money on these games. And games like Honkai Impact and Punishing Grey Raven, they've gotten all the units that they wanted. just by playing the game. So these are always going to be the games that I recommend. It'll either be Honkai Impact 3rd or it'll be Punishing Gray Raven every single time someone asks me, because they're just so entry level for your average player. Someone that's familiar with console games and just wants to try a mobile game.
Cool. All right, we're going to wrap up the video there. It was meant to be a video. Ended up being like podcast length for the video. So if you guys want to catch Chaotic or Paradise, you can catch them over on their channels. I don't highly recommend that you check out Chaotic because he's brand new to the channel. So definitely go over there and delve into all of his content. People seem super excited about all of the stuff that he's producing. So go over there, show him some support and some love. And other than that, we're going to wrap up and see you guys on the next video. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Laters.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget you can subscribe so you don't miss another video.